Right now, open Google Chrome. Click the three dots in the top right corner. Go to Settings, click Privacy and Security. Now scroll down and click on Add Privacy. Look at what you see there. 3 toggles, Add Topics, Site Suggested Ads, Ad Measurement. And unless you specifically went into this menu before and turned them off, all 3 of those toggles are probably switched on right now, enabled by default, running in the background, silently analyzing everything you do in Chrome to build a detailed advertising profile about you. These are not features you opted into. These are not tools you asked for. These are data collection mechanisms that Google enabled on your browser without requiring explicit informed consent, and the vast majority of Chrome users have no idea they exist. The settings are buried 4 menus deep. The language describing what they do is deliberately vague and friendly sounding, and the entire system is branded as privacy preserving, as an improvement over old tracking methods, when in reality it is just a different form of the same surveillance, repackaged and integrated directly into your browser so you cannot escape it even with an ad blocker. This is a fundamental change in how Chrome operates and what it considers acceptable to monitor about your behavior. And if you care about minimizing tracking, if you care about controlling who knows what about your online activity, if you care about using the internet without being constantly profiled and targeted, then these 3 settings should be the first things you turn off the moment you open Chrome. And let me show you what you're actually agreeing to when these toggles are enabled. Let us start with Add Topics, the first setting in that Add Privacy menu, because it is the clearest example of how Chrome is now doing the tracking that used to be done by third-party cookies. For years, advertisers tracked you across the web using cookies, small pieces of data that websites placed in your browser. When you visited a site, advertising companies like Google could place a cookie with a unique identifier. Then when you visited a different site that also had their ads, that same cookie would be read, and the advertiser would know that the same person who visited site A is now visiting site B. Over time, by following you across hundreds of sites, advertisers could build a detailed profile of your interests, demographics, and behavior. This is called cross-site tracking, and it has been the foundation of online advertising for decades. But it is also widely recognized as a privacy violation. Browsers like Firefox and Safari started blocking third-party cookies years ago. Users became more aware of tracking and started demanding better privacy. So Google announced that Chrome would also phase out third-party cookies. And that sounded like a win for privacy. Until you looked at what Google built to replace them. Instead of letting advertisers track you across sites with cookies, Google decided that Chrome itself would do the tracking and share the results with advertisers. That is what Add Topics is. Here is how it works. As you browse the web with Chrome, the browser watches what sites you visit and analyzes the content of those pages. Based on that analysis, Chrome assigns you to interest categories called topics. These are things like fitness, travel, credit cards, home improvement, movies, gaming, shopping. There are hundreds of possible topics organized into a taxonomy that Google designed. Every week, Chrome picks your top 5 topics based on your recent browsing and saves them. Then, when you visit a website that has Google ads, Chrome shares those topics with the site and with the ad networks. The site and the advertisers can then use that information to show you targeted ads. So if Chrome has determined that you are interested in travel and fitness based on the sites you visited, you will start seeing ads for hotels and gym equipment. The key difference from cookies is that advertisers are not tracking you directly. Chrome is doing the tracking for them, analyzing your behavior, categorizing you, and handing that information over. Google argues this is more private because your browsing history never leaves your device. Chrome does all the analysis locally. Advertisers do not see the specific sites you visited. They just see the topics. But here's the problem. The outcome is the same. You're still being tracked. You're still being categorized. Your behavior is still being analyzed and used to target you with ads. The only difference is that now Google controls the entire process. Instead of dozens of different ad companies, each running their own tracking, Google has centralized all of it into the browser. And because Chrome has nearly 65% global browser market share, Google now has unprecedented power over how online advertising works. They control what topics exist. They control how sites are categorized. They control who gets access to the data. Privacy researchers have called this privacy washing, taking a system that is fundamentally about surveillance and rebranding it as privacy-friendly, because it uses different technical methods, even though the end result is the same. Now, let us talk about the second setting, site-suggested ads. This one is even more concerning because it allows websites themselves to use Chrome's APIs to track you in ways that used to require third-party cookies. Here's how it works. When you visit a site, that site can ask Chrome to remember that you visited, not by placing a cookie, but by using browser APIs that are part of Privacy Sandbox. The site can tell Chrome, this user looked at these products, this user added this item to their cart, this user read these articles. Chrome stores that information locally. Then, later, when you visit a completely different site, the first site can bid to show you an ad based on what you did on their site previously. This is called remarketing or retargeting. It is why you look at a pair of shoes on one website and then see ads for those exact shoes following you around the internet for the next 2 weeks. It used to work with third-party cookies. Now it works through Chrome's built-in APIs. The site is not placing a traditional tracker in your browser. They are using Chrome as the tracker. And this is critical to understand. Chrome is not a neutral tool anymore. It is not just a window to the internet. It is an active participant in the advertising process. When site-suggested ads is enabled, Chrome is storing data about your behavior on behalf of websites and advertisers, and then facilitating the delivery of targeted ads based on that data. Google calls this privacy preserving because the data is stored locally in your browser and the ad auctions happen locally. The advertisers do not see your raw data directly. They just submit bids and Chrome picks the winner. But again, the outcome is the same as traditional tracking. You're being followed across sites, your behavior is being logged, ads are being targeted to you based on your activity. The mechanism has changed, but the surveillance has not. The third setting, ad measurement, is about attribution. When you see an ad and click on it, advertisers want to know whether that click led to a purchase or some other valuable action. Did the ad work? This is called conversion tracking, and it has traditionally required cookies that follow you from the ad click to the final purchase, so the advertiser can connect the two events. Chrome's ad measurement setting replaces that with the attribution reporting API. When you click an ad, Chrome makes a note of it. Then, if you later complete a purchase or sign up for something, the website can tell Chrome that a conversion happened. Chrome connects the ad click to the conversion and sends a report to the advertiser. The advertiser learns that someone who clicked their ad made a purchase, but they do not get direct identifying information about you. Google argues this is more private than cookie-based tracking because the reports are aggregated and anonymized. But security researchers have pointed out that even anonymized data can be de-anonymized with enough data points, and that Chrome is still facilitating tracking, still enabling advertisers to monitor the effectiveness of their campaigns based on your behavior. All three of these settings, ad topics, site-suggested ads, ad measurement, are part of what Google calls the Privacy Sandbox. This is a collection of APIs and technologies that Google has been developing for years as a replacement for third-party cookies. And the name is brilliant marketing. Privacy Sandbox sounds safe. It sounds like a place where your privacy is protected. But the technical reality is that Privacy Sandbox is a new tracking infrastructure built directly into Chrome, controlled entirely by Google, and designed to preserve the targeted advertising business model that makes Google hundreds of billions of dollars a year while third-party cookies are phased out. This is not about protecting your privacy. This is about protecting Google's advertising revenue in a world where users and regulators are demanding better privacy protections. And here's the critical point. These settings are enabled by default. When you install Chrome, when you update Chrome, when you set up a new computer, ad topics, site-suggested ads, and ad measurement are turned on automatically unless you specifically go into settings and turn them off. Google did not ask for your permission in any meaningful way. They may have shown you a notification that mentioned new privacy features, but those notifications did not clearly explain that enabling these features means your browsing activity will be analyzed and used for advertising. The language was vague. The defaults were set to benefit Google, not you. And most users have no idea this is happening. So why did Google do this? Why build this elaborate system instead of just blocking tracking entirely the way Firefox and Safari have done? The answer is simple. Money. Google's business model depends on advertising. In 2023, Alphabet made over $220 billion, and roughly 80% came from ads. Targeted ads, specifically. Ads that are shown to the right person at the right time based on detailed knowledge of that person's behavior and interests. The more precisely Google can target ads, the more advertisers are willing to pay. And the foundation of precise targeting is behavioral data. What you search for, what sites you visit, what you click on. Third-party cookies gave advertisers that data, but they also gave it to Google's competitors. By moving tracking into Chrome and deprecating third-party cookies, Google forces all advertising through their APIs, through their systems, through their rules. Advertisers can still do targeted advertising, but now they have to do it through Google's Privacy Sandbox. Google controls the data, controls the access, and controls the business model. Privacy advocates and competitors raised objections. They said it entrenches Google's dominance. They said it does not actually improve privacy in meaningful ways. They said it is anti-competitive. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority investigated. The European Union opened inquiries. But Google moved forward anyway. And now Privacy Sandbox is live, enabled by default in Chrome, and billions of people are being tracked by their own browser without understanding what is happening or how to stop it. Now let me show you how to stop it. This is the part you came for, the actual steps to turn off these settings and reclaim control over your browsing privacy. Open Chrome. Click the 3 vertical dots in the top right corner. Click Settings. On the left sidebar, click Privacy and Security. You will see a list of options. Click on Add Privacy. This is where Google has buried these settings. You will see 3 sections: Add Topics, Site Suggested Ads, Ad Measurement. Each one has a toggle switch. Click on Add Topics. You will see a page that says Chrome picks topics based on your recent browsing history. Below that is a toggle. Turn it off. The toggle should switch to the left and turn gray. That disables Chrome's interest-based profiling. Go back and click on Site Suggested Ads. You will see a toggle that says sites can use Chrome to suggest personalized ads. Turn it off. Go back and click on Ad Measurement. You will see a toggle that says sites can measure ad performance. Turn it off. Now all 3 Privacy Sandbox ad features are disabled, but you're not done yet. There are other privacy settings in Chrome you should also review. Go back to the Privacy and Security menu. Click on Cookies and Other Site Data. Make sure Block Third-Party Cookies is enabled. Even though Chrome is phasing them out, they are not completely gone yet. Then scroll down and turn on Send a Do Not Track request with your browsing traffic. Now go back to Privacy and Security and click on Site Settings. Scroll down to Additional Permissions. Go through each category: location, camera, microphone, notifications. For each one, set the default to Ask before accessing or block. This prevents sites from requesting permissions without you explicitly granting them. Now the big one. Still in Privacy and Security, click on Sync and Google Services. This is where Chrome's deepest data collection happens. You will see a list of things Chrome can sync and services Chrome provides. If you are signed into Chrome with a Google account, many of these will be enabled by default. Here is what you should consider turning off. Make searches and browsing better. This sends your browsing data to Google. Turn it off. Help improve Chrome's features and performance. This is telemetry sent to Google. Turn it off. Autocomplete searches and URLs. This sends everything you type in the address bar to Google as you type it in real time. Turn it off. Use a prediction service to help complete searches and URLs. Same thing. Turn it off. Now scroll up to the sync section. If you have sync turned on, Chrome is uploading your browsing history, bookmarks, passwords, and other data to Google's servers. If you want maximum privacy, turn off sync entirely. Once you have done all of that, you have significantly reduced the amount of data Chrome collects and shares. But here's the reality. Even with all of these settings disabled, Chrome is still a Google product built by an advertising company designed to serve that company's business interests. It is better to turn these settings off than to leave them on, but it is not as good as using a browser that does not have these tracking systems built into it in the first place. Browsers like Brave and Firefox do not have Privacy Sandbox. They do not profile you for ads. They block tracking by default instead of building new forms of tracking into the browser. If you are serious about privacy, switching browsers is the most effective step. But if you are going to stay on Chrome, then at minimum, turn off these ad privacy settings. It takes 2 minutes. Let me address something important. Some people will say, I do not care if I see ads. Ads are how the web is funded. And that is fair. But there's a difference between seeing ads and being surveilled. You can show someone an ad based on the content of the page they are currently viewing without tracking them across the entire internet. That is called contextual advertising. You are reading an article about camping, you see an ad for tents, no tracking required. The advertiser just knows this page is about camping and shows a relevant ad. That model worked for decades, and it can work online. The shift to behavioral advertising, to tracking and profiling, happened because it is more profitable, not because it is necessary. Privacy Sandbox is designed to preserve that more profitable model under the guise of privacy improvements. And there is a power dynamic here that matters. Google controls Chrome. Google controls the largest advertising network in the world. Google controls the most popular search engine. When you use Chrome with these ad privacy settings enabled, you are feeding data into an ecosystem that Google dominates and profits from at every level. They see what you search for. They see what sites you visit. They use all of that to build a profile that makes their ads more valuable. You are not the customer in this relationship. Advertisers are the customers. You are the product. Your attention, your behavior, your data, that is what Google is selling. And every setting in Chrome that is enabled by default and buried in menus is designed to extract more value from you. This is why privacy matters. Not because you have something to hide, but because you should have control over your own information. You should have the right to browse the internet without a detailed record of your activity being compiled, analyzed, and monetized. You should have the right to see information without being constantly targeted by algorithms that know your psychological vulnerabilities. You should have the right to privacy as a default, not as something you have to fight for by digging through 4 layers of settings menus. And the fact that Google makes privacy opt-in instead of opt-out tells you everything about whose interests they are serving. So here's what you do right now. If you are still using Chrome, pause this video, open the browser, and go turn off those 3 settings. Add topics. Cite suggested ads. Ad measurement. It will take you 60 seconds. Then spend another 2 minutes going through the other privacy settings I mentioned. Block third-party cookies. Turn off the prediction services that send your keystrokes to Google. Make your browser work for you instead of for advertisers. And if you are ready to take the next step, download Brave or Firefox. Import your bookmarks and passwords. Set it as your default browser. Use it for a week. See if you actually miss anything about Chrome, or if you just realize you have been tolerating surveillance because it was the default. The internet does not have to be this way. Browsers do not have to track you. Ads do not require surveillance. These are choices that companies like Google make because tracking is profitable and because most users do not understand what is happening or do not know how to stop it. But you do now. You understand what Ad Topics is doing. You understand what site suggested ads means. You understand that Privacy Sandbox is not about protecting your privacy. It is about preserving Google's ad business. And you know where the settings are and how to turn them off. That knowledge gives you power. Use it. Take the 2 minutes today to change these settings. Stop letting your browser analyze and categorize you for advertisers. Stop contributing data to a system designed to extract value from your attention. Take back control. If you care about minimizing tracking, these settings should be one of the first things you review. Not eventually. Not when you get around to it. Now. Today. Because every day you leave them enabled is another day of data being collected, another day of your behavior being analyzed, another day of your browsing activity being used to build an advertising profile that will follow you across the web. You deserve better than that. Your data is yours. Your behavior is yours. Your privacy is yours. Protect it.